We're doing
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bugbear's Basement. And today I am joined by the Nerd Crew. I have Beowulf.
How's it going, everybody?
Booster.
Hey, lads.
Bugbear, of course, Mr. DeWolf.
Hi.
I am joined by... Right. We have Denelli.
Hello.
And we have Mr. Winter. Hello, sir.
Hello.
We have Pixel.
Yo.
And we have Popefire.
Hello there.
And I am Bugbear. So welcome to the show today. We're going to be talking about video games, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think all of us played some kind of video game in the past, and I'm sure we'll all have some very interesting takes on that, although I am slightly afraid of what Booster has to say. But anyway. So, guys, before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about FanSpeak news in general. We do have a couple of announcements that we're trying to push here. One is our art contest. Now, the art contest is a very simple thing. We are taking a full-page ad out in Alterna Comics, and we want a FanSpeak logo, not the whole Fandom Zones thing we got going on here, but just FanSpeak logo and a mascot. And the winners of this contest, which we're going to do on Halloween with the Comics Titan fundraiser raffle, the winner of that is going to have their art in that full page. So you actually get a chance to have your art in a comic book. It's a very cool thing. The next thing we're doing is, of course, as I mentioned, the Comics Titans fundraiser, which is a charity raffle to help people who can't get some of these Indiegogo books, and the raffle tickets are $3 for one ticket and $5 for two. You go check out that website, and we'll talk about that a little bit more anyway. I just want to give some highlights here. Also, to remind you all that we are now doing podcasts on Anchor. So if you're into podcast, you go over to Anchor and check out FanSpeak or Chester Busby, either one will bring it up, and you'll be able to listen to some of our shows, particularly what we're dropping on there is the stuff that has to do with, our artist guest interviews and things like that. But we'll talk about it amongst ourselves, maybe do some other things. But also to let you know that Anchor is connected to Pocket Casts and Stitcher as well, if that's something you guys are into. So we will be keeping an eye on the chat. And you guys, I'm sure, are going to have some questions and things to point out. And yes, we will continue the saga of Pope Fire versus Pope Raven, and we'll see who wins that. It should be interesting. But beyond that, guys, let's get into video games.
And one more thing before we just jump on. Remember, we have FanSpeak this Saturday at 8 p.m. with our special guest, Mike Barron. So you don't want to miss that.
That's right. Absolutely. We're really looking forward to that. If you guys don't know who Mike Barron is, he is, of course, he's done Marvel and DC, I'm pretty sure, but I know he's done Nexus, and of course he did Badger, which I love. We're going to find out all that on Saturday. We're going to talk to the man and hear about his career, talk about his art. It's going to be exciting. It'll be a lot of fun. So, all right, video games. Now, I do know, as you all do, that video games started a very long time ago. Now, I know you're the young folks here seem to think that they are the video game people, but actually, we older guys up here, we are actually the video game generation. Right, gentlemen?
Pong.
Oh,
Dip,
Chester, do you
pong,
remember when
dip,
Pong was
ding,
made?
dip, pong, dip, ding, pong.
Okay, so you're picking on us. Is that what you're doing? You're being mean. All right.
Yes.
Well, there it is then. There it is.
In your time, we had fun with just two lines in a dot going back and forth.
Hey man, show the respect for the Pong. But I actually had a Radio Shack Pong when I was a little kid. Did any of you guys have Pong or play Pong? I mean, back in the day?
I mean, I've played Pong.
I mean, I played
And
Pong in
Pong
the flea
ripoffs.
market, you know.
Yeah, but see, I wasn't talking to you youngins. I was talking to like
I
Todd
see.
and,
You're right.
and stuff like that, you know.
No.
No. Okay. How about you, John? Did you play Pong, man?
Oh yeah, I played the living crap out of Pong. That game was so much fun.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. And that thing would just connect right up to your TV and you could play it. It was really cool. Yeah. But I used to play that all the time. A lot of fun. Of course, Pong is where it all started, and there's no way I couldn't have this on the screen, guys. But really, for most people, I think video games really started over here. And arcades. Now, I'm assuming, do they still have? Maybe I shouldn't. Do they still have arcades around these days, guys?
There's a few.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know about dedicated arcade stores. We definitely don't have those in New Zealand, but we have arcade machines and certain things, like bowling areas or the theaters and such. Even our Burger King has a little arcade zone, but an actual arcade store, no.
It's a lot less. It's a lot less games like Street Fighter and stuff like that, and much more like your shooting games and your various games of skill and stuff now. But yeah, we still have them over here in Australia.
Oh, because here in Japan, it's hard to find actual video games in an arcade. Mainly when they have it, they call them over a UFO catcher, but those like sky cranes that you move it forward or back and right and left, and you try to grab something out.
Yeah,
That's the main thing over here. And the pachinko light stuff. But how about in the States? I haven't been in America in more than 2 decades. So what's going on over there?
They're pretty much extinct. I mean, you only find them in like theme parks or bowling alleys or something like that.
Okay.
I think they kind of changed them to more of the the Chuck E. Cheese route where it's tickets and stuff.
Right, yeah, there's the Chuck E. Cheese, and there's also anywhere where there's already people doing basically something else. like I said, the bowling alley in a movie theater. They maybe a few are over in a corner, off in a little cubby or something. Yeah.
Where I'm at, they have dedicated barcades, so they have arcades that you can go and just get drinks and do that. There's a really cool one here in Portland called Ground Control. That's pretty awesome. And when I travel around and go do shows, I'll try to find them. Like Chicago has a couple that were pretty awesome, and they're huge. A bunch of old games. Most of them work, and they're either pay like a cover or pay like 25 cents each. And that's the closest thing I have. Nothing dedicated, but it's at least you can drink too.
Yeah, John just said drinking in arcade games. Wow.
Hey, why not? That's fun. That sounds fun.
The only thing closest to us, for me, where I live, there's an arcade museum where you pay like $10 for all you can play arcade for the day. But it's called a museum because it has all the original arcade cabinets and pinball things and all the stuff there.
Yeah, there's a place here in San Diego called Dave & Buster's, and there's a few of them around the country that they're eateries, bar kind of thing. They've got pool tables, but then they've got an entire play area that has arcade games, skee ball, a lot of skill games, and various things like that. But there's definitely a lot of arcade games there too.
So it's like a Chuck E. Cheese for adults, is what you're saying?
Basically, yeah.
Okay. Hey, I see Thundara down the chat. Hey, man, we don't usually see you over here on Tuesdays. You want to come in here and say hi? Arcade things, man. I spent a lot of time in them when I was young, and I want to hear from DeWolf and John on this as well. But I remember when I was real little, my mom would take me to this place, and what it was an arcade. I think it was a foosball machine as well, but it was basically all arcade machines like you see here on the screen, and putt-putt, mini golf, right? And they drop us off for some low amount of money, and with the all us kids just running around there, and the mothers would go off shopping in the mall or something, and the video games were all free. You didn't have to drop coins in at all during that time. Exactly, heaven, yes. And I used to go there almost every Saturday, and it was a lot of fun. It was a big group of friends. Although I do remember, I was really, really good at Tempest, which is this one on the far left here, this cabinet. I was really good at that. And I remember one day I was sitting there playing Tempest, and I got done. I was over playing. I can't remember the name of it, but you had like this guy in the middle of the screen, the shooter guy. And there was like this big dragon who would come at you. It had many segments, and you had to destroy the segments. It was kind of like Centipede, but it wasn't. Anyway, there's the guy come around, and he's complaining, "Who's CCB? Who's CCB?" I don't know if you guys know this, but with the arcade games, if you got a high score or even top 3, you put your initials in. Right? And he was so I am, or someone had directed him to me, and he says, "I'm gonna kick your butt." And I was like, "Why?" And he says, "You beat my high score." So of course we got in a fight, and we were like 8 or 9, so it was basically a wrestling match. And the adults come and pull us apart, and he's "I'm gonna kick your butt after. I'm gonna beat you down." And I was like, "No, you're not." And he's like, "Yes, I am." And I'm like, "No, you're not, because my dad worked at the Pentagon, and he taught me how to jump off roofs." And that was the end of it. Finished that argument right there. Never had any trouble with him again. But I mean, just for arcade memories, I had a lot of good memories there. How about you, DeWolf? Do you ever go to the arcade a lot when you were little?
Yeah, there was that rush too. You because your parent had to take you when you were 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Your parent had to take you, and of course now without smartphones having games on them, they stuck these games in lots of different various areas as well. So there may be one over in the gas station, and there may be some over at the Pizza Hut or something. So you could play Galaga, and you learned, of course, pretty quickly with Galaga to go ahead and let the bug, the hornet, whatever it was of aliens. Hey, it's Cyber Frog. What the heck? Anyway, so Galaga, you learn to let them take your little ship so you could get it back later and get double firepower. So you get this little rush, and you're like, Mom, I just want a quarter. I just want a quarter. Can I have a quarter? And so you go and play it, and then and of course now the kids they can play almost all the time and get that intense adrenaline rush and whatever, and have that excitement of playing. But for us, you had to space that out, and then when you had $1, now you had 4 quarters, and you wander around the arcade area, and you have to ask yourself, that's a 50-cent game versus over here I got 25-cent games. Do I want to make that choice on that? I don't know about this new shooter. This came in this month, and you learned about your arcade. If you had an arcade room in your area, usually there's some pool tables too. You learned what the games were there when a new one popped up. Oh, hey, here's Contra. And of course there's Joust. I lost many a quarter on Joust because you could just get bumped and fall in the lava. You're dead. Yeah. And then we got older. When I got older, by that point, I still had like maybe an Atari or something at home, but I could drive. Well, I drive myself, and I would, I'd go and I'd say, all right, I'd make some money or get my allowance, and I would dedicate, $5 ka-ching of quarters or maybe more, and just take a whole afternoon just to veg out and play Galaga and Defender, and yeah.
Nah, it's cool, man. The arcade was a lot of fun. The video games these days are very different, but those are good memories. How about you, John? You got to have some arcade memories, man.
Oh man, boy, do I have. Yeah, there'd be there'd be the classic, like go to the supermarket and there'd be like a couple games there, so you'd play those. One of my favorite memories was I'd go and hang out with my best friend in kindergarten, and we were able to take like cans back for change, and that would be our like our allowance for video games and snacks. And at this like minute mark, they had a couple games, I think like World Heroes 2, and then there was like the original Street Fighter. There was World Heroes 2, that Neo Geo versus SNK Neo Geo systems, where you can switch the different games. There's all kinds of good stuff. And then the other great memory I had, I guess, was when there was actual dedicated arcades, and you could spend like we had a place called Wonderland, and you could go and pay like, I don't know, $10 or something, and play all day or like a couple hours or something. And that was like that was the best treat ever. Oh man.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. Golden Axe was another one I remember fondly.
Yeah. Oh man.
Golden Axe. Yeah. Or Gauntlet.
Oh, Gauntlet was amazing.
Wizard needs food badly.
Yeah, those are great games, man, in the arcade. Let me jump over here real quick. Joshua Hughes has a comment. Since the subject is video games, I think we should discuss Injustice: Gods Amongst Us, and more specifically, Raven, of course. But actually,
200 hours on just the original Injustice. I have no life.
Well,
Yeah,
it was
I've got
very,
Injustice that's
very
on my
popular.
list today.
It is.
200
All
hours,
right.
and that's no life. That's adorable.
That's
Okay,
Well,
I actually have the trading cards for Injustice as well, and I do have a really rare Raven card. So I really do have no life.
for those of us who don't know what exactly you're doing over there, Pope, what game are you playing?
I am playing Overwatch, the Halloween event.
I see. I've never played that one before.
Valkyrie shot the food.
Oh, we're back on that. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, let's see. We got a pick over here in Injustice. Let me put this up there. Wolf got it. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Injustice, Gods Amongst Us. Now, how about the storyline? Now, we all know that Mike Miller was the main artist on the Injustice run. I'm not. Who wrote the story? Anybody know?
Tom Taylor.
Tom Taylor. Okay, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that explains a lot then, because I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a big fan of Injustice, simply because they turn Superman into the villain, and that's ridiculous. Why is it with these people always want to make Superman the villain? He is the
But here's the
symbol
thing.
of purity.
You want to know why? He's way
Yeah, no.
easier to write as a villain than he is as a hero.
Yeah, but he
Because of
is
how
an
powerful
icon.
he makes a. Yeah, I know, but he's just way easier to write as a villain. It's a cop out.
It is cop out. It's equivalent to putting an image of Jesus or the cross in a jar of piss. It's the same nonsense. You know?
I played
Yeah, I
support
went
last
there.
round. Somebody else play it.
It's the ultimate what if question, though. Like, what if Superman did go bad?
Well, that's called
Who could stop
Ultraman.
him?
That's called Ultraman. That was.
But here's the thing, though. Like, I like it, the reason is justified there, because I mean, he lost a lot, and it wasn't just Lois Lane that died. There was his child. There's several heroes that died in there. It comes a point when the heroes just kind of have to stop and go, well, maybe it is time to do something. And while I do agree that he was a bit out of character, I do think that the reasons why his character changed so much was because of all the trauma he went through. Because it wasn't like his wife died. It wasn't like his pregnant wife just died. He was the one that killed her, and that's a bit that's just a bit more than just watching her die.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Any of you other guys play this Injustice or have any comments on it? This is a fighter game, so I've never been really big into those. The only fighter game I probably spent any time with was Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
I was a Tekken lad myself, but I'm crap at them. Get all mad when people
I dabble.
yeah, when people get me all juggled, I just get so mad. I like throw controllers. It's not pretty.
You're one of those, are you?
Which is kind of funny talking about Mortal Kombat. The guy who's the announcer is actually very famous for all his pinball machines. He actually had a company that makes all those famous pinball machines, and
that's cool.
And he had a studio next to the guys who made Mortal Kombat, and they were trying to figure out the voice of the announcer, and they heard his voice, and they're like, "You're perfect. Please read these lines for us." And it's like, fatality.
That is cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't put pinballs in any of the pictures or anything like that, of course, but that I have for us today. But of course, I played a ton of pinball. I don't know if anyone else here likes pinball.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed them in the arcade when they were still around, and I enjoyed them the computer games pinball machine, especially when you were sitting around my parents' office and there's nothing to do, and there's the pinball games. You just distract them yourself the day before internet was available.
Yeah, I mostly played pinball on computer as well.
Oh, you did, really?
Yeah. I've played it a few times on real pinball machines. It's just not the same.
No, it's not, man.
Pinball is fun, but I was always wondering if there was any actual skill involved or if it was just like a matter of chance, because I've never
lots of skill.
figured out I've never been able to figure out the skill in it, but I don't know.
Yeah, you have to know how hard you have to hit the ball, time it right for the angles, and you have to know it's like where it's easier to hit and where to hit
it's
it.
chance. Don't pretend like it's not. if it goes right down the middle, you're screwed.
Yeah,
No,
and
no.
then there's also
It's kind of like poker. It's kind of like poker in the sense that there's a large randomness to it and a lot of chance, but there is still a high level of skill, and you still see the same people sitting around the table.
Yeah, and there's risk involved too, because I mean, you've got people that play it really hard and know just how far to push the table without tilting it, and playing the whole tilt game and knocking it and nudging it is all part of the game.
You know who plays a mean pinball?
He's a wizard, maybe.
Yeah, the deaf, dumb, and blind boy. Sorry.
I was thinking the same thing, dude. I was resisting though. I have more self-control than you. See,
So
that's the difference.
You want to talk about the arcade games that there was a change that came around. If you remember what happened with Dragon's Lair.
Oh, Dragon's Lair was cool, man.
Yeah, and that one, it was so hard, so difficult. It was kind of RPG-like, but you had to know kind of what was coming and how to play it. It was a different way of playing arcade games.
That was a quarter monster, though.
Yeah.
X-Men, the arcade game, was a quarter monster as well.
Yeah, that was a good game too.
That was a great game.
Because you could just keep going and going. Yeah.
I actually, you mentioned Dragon's Lair, but I actually preferred Space Ace.
I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja arcade game. I don't know if anybody else remembers that.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I played the Super NES version of it as well when it came out there. I just enjoyed just playing throughout it. I could solo it throughout. That's how much I played that game. I see in the chat, Hoff Rebel 86 asks, has any one of us played Earthworm Jim when it came out originally back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely comics get related.
Oh, yeah.
Just played it now.
I've got the Sega cart sitting right here.
I never owned it, but I had a mate who owned it. So every time I was around at his house, I'd jump on for half an hour or so and play it. It was fun, but I never really got into it that much.
Man, that game was so much fun. I played that game a lot on Sega, and I got really far, but I know there's a part I got stuck on towards the end, probably like last 2 or 3 levels of the game, and I couldn't pass it. But,
John, you can always ask Doug now to say, hey, how do I pass this part of the level? To see if you remember. He's going to be saying, my people, I don't know. I was like, I'm not the programmer. I would have to. I'm just a guy who doodles stuff.
No, never played that. There were a lot of those type of games that came out at that time, though. That's was that mainly on Nintendo, or was that a?
That was Sega.
That was
Sega. Was Sega, and I think it went to
Super
Nintendo also.
Yeah, Super.
Yeah, but it wasn't as good as Sega, and then I think the second one went to Sega Saturn, I believe.
Well, why don't we talk about consoles since we're on it? I had a Sega Saturn, but what other consoles have you guys had over the years?
Oh, I had an original. My very first was a Game Boy Brick. You know, that big gray fat brick other thing? Yeah. After that, I had me a Sega Master System that came pre-installed with Sonic the Hedgehog. That was a good time.
There was the Sega. There was actually 2 different Segas. They had a bunch of different Segas, but they had a Sega before that also had a Spy versus Spy game that was really awesome.
Oh yeah. Was it the 32, I believe? Or maybe I'm thinking of something.
No, it was like a weird in between NES and Sega. It was like a half step between the 2.
Yeah, it was like a purple looking thing or something.
Oh yeah. Man. Bringing memories.
Did any of you guys play on the Atari?
I had the Atari. Yeah,
me too.
Yep.
My brother had a mate who had the Atari, so when we were picking him up from visiting his friend, we'd play a little bit on it. But no, I started on the old Nintendo with the Mario / Duck Hunt cartridge.
Me too, dude. A lot of hours. I was good at Duck Hunt, man.
Yeah, so was I. I don't know if it was just our version, but there was a glitch. If you shot the top left corner of the screen, you'd kill the ducks.
Oh, really?
No, that was the glitch for all the versions that you found out. Just like Pitfall, if you just go left, you win the game.
Oh, Pitfall, yeah.
Oh, Pitfall, yeah, absolutely. Joust.
Yard.
Star Commander, was it called Star Commander or Missile Commander?
Missile Command.
Missile Commander, yeah.
Yeah.
And the tank, just the battle, the dumb tanks where you could choose if the bullets were invisible or they would bounce or they would.
Yep.
Your tank showed up only when you shot. Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah, it was fun, man. I remember there was like this extra thing. You put this they had this thing you bought and you put it in the cartridge slot and then you put the cartridge in it and it offered some extra stuff. I can't remember what that was.
The Game Genie.
Is that what it's called? Game Genie?
Yep, the Game Genie. And then you had the book of all the codes to input the codes. And then there was stuff like they updated and added more codes that weren't in the book that you'd have to like try to find. Man, that was so awesome. Because the Game Genie was. They had that for the NES. They had it for the Super NES, the Sega. Yeah. But it was just as expensive as the game, so it's like...
Yeah.
It was cool, actually. You know what I used to do? I had one of those Commodore 64s, and I had this book of codes, and I don't know what code this was. Maybe it was Cobalt? I'm not sure. Pixel will probably help us with that. But I used to code these games, and this is back before floppy. This is when you actually put software on cassette tapes. And I would take and I would code games like Moon Landing and a few kind of those you read and make it's like choose your own adventure type book, but in a video game. And I used to take those cassettes to school and sell them.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
like Zork. Oh Zork.
Man, you're going old school with those video games, really.
Yeah, well, that's what we had at the time. It was cassette too. I remember. I had a thing, a special thing to plug into my Commodore 64. Pixel, what was that? Was that Cobalt?
You got me, man. Probably Cobalt, but it was probably something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't actually use a Commodore. I mean, Pong was my first system, but my first computer was a Trash 80. So I never got the Commodore.
Everyone had one of those where I lived, man. It was the thing.
Oh yeah, I had this Star Trek game in which you go into the quarantine zone. So there was a world, a section of the galaxy that it was quarantined inside. You could only fly around inside this one sphere, but there must have been thousands of stars in there. And I never finished the game. Never visited anywhere. It was absolutely full for it being a Commodore 64 type of game.
Yeah, no, there were some good games on Commodore, man. It was a good system, especially a lot of those early like fantasy Dungeons and Dragon type based role playing games and stuff. Those were really good, actually.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what about over there in New Zealand and Australia? Did you guys have a Commodore 64, or did they call it the Wallaby 5 or something?
I believe we had that, but I'm pretty sure that was well before my time.
Yeah. You know, I can't remember having one of those.
I was a Sega and a Game Boy lad, and then once I got a PlayStation 1, I didn't get off it.
Oh, PlayStation. Now, did you get a PlayStation 1, or did you come in a later system?
No, I had a PlayStation 1.
How was that? I never played that.
I had your Crash Bandicoot, your Spyro. But my favorite games were the Final Fantasy series, the old school, 4-7, 4-7. I had 4, 5, and 6. Those were great bloody RPGs.
Yeah, I actually have a couple of frames here that relate to that. Here are some of those characters you were talking about.
Donkey Kong Country, that was my jam. Besides Mario,
yeah,
especially Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah, I had Mario on the Game Boy Brick, and I love Crash Bandicoot.
I played Mario whenever he went dip 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 bing, dip 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 bing.
Yeah. No, these characters.
Oh, here's a crazy one. Do you guys remember the Virtual Boy?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That pain. I was like, ow, my eyes are burning forever. That's such fun games.
The virtual tennis and virtual boy. You had to put in that huge contraption goggle things.
Yep.
On that pedestal, and you're like planes, like, and it's like, oh, cool. It's all 3D, but not really.
That was the most 3D I've ever seen in my life at that point.
Yeah. So there was this weird kind of period in between the Super Nintendo and the next generation machines that came out. You know, you had the Sega Saturn, which came out and it was pretty cool, but there was one machine that came out that not a lot of people got because it was priced really high.
Was it the Dreamcast?
No, before the Dreamcast, there was one called the Panasonic 3DO.
Yeah.
And I had one of those. And the thing was amazing at the time, but the load times were incredibly long. But some of the best games and stuff I'd ever played, that because it all had, a lot of the games were full motion video. So they had all this motion capture stuff all tied into it. Like Sega CD did the same thing with Sewer Shark, where it was like mostly motion capture type stuff, and then it was on rails, and depending on what selection you made, the QuickTime events, it would change the video, and you'd see more stuff happen. I can't remember the name of the game now. It's going to drive me crazy. But there's a vampire game called Night something.
Night Stalkers?
I don't think it was Night Stalkers.
No, that was a different one. That was like the one that got banned or something, right?
Yeah, it was basically got banned. It was about a slumber party where vampires come and like start killing the girls, basically. And
that's definitely Night Stalkers.
I don't think it was Night Stalker. No, Night Stalkers is a fighting game.
Night Stalkers was a side.
No, it had live action. It had live action segments, right?
Yeah, it was all live action. It was just basically like watching a really bad movie, Night Trap.
Night Trap.
Okay. And so your job, basically, if you guys have ever played like Five Nights at Freddy's or anything like that, or seen that, basically you sit in a control room and you click between all the security cameras in the house while stuff is happening, and you have to trigger traps whenever vampires get there or the monsters and stuff get there to capture them or to move people out of the rooms and stuff. It's a really interesting game. But I played that quite a bit, and there's a ton of them. The Street Fighter came out on that for I think just one version of that game. But it was a really cool system that didn't get a whole lot of attention because it priced itself out of the market.
They did that and around the same time. I think they also had the Atari Jaguar, which was kind of in the same realm, but they used cartridge games.
Right.
In that system.
Jaguar basically killed 3DO, which is funny because Jaguar really didn't do very well at itself, but it was it claimed to be a 64-bit machine, but really was two 32-bit processors. The 3DO was also 32-bit, but that 64, man, that was the number that everybody focused on, and 3DO was gone before too long.
Right, yeah.
So it's kind of like the laser disc of the generation.
Yeah, it seemed
laser discs. Wow. Yeah. We do get a quick question over here from the chat. I thought it was interesting since we're talking about consoles.
Yeah.
E. Ortiz Art says, "What's everyone gaming in now or gaming on now?"
PC. Just PC, man.
PC.
Yeah. I have a PS4, but most of the time it's PC because I can do everything while I'm on it, man. I can play video games. I can be on a live stream with these guys.
Yeah,
how about
PC.
the rest of you?
Same here, but my son does have an Xbox One. That's what we decided to go with as far as the console area.
Oh, okay.
I'm a huge PlayStation fan, but the only thing I got right now is my cell phone. So that's my only console, I guess.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I have a
PS3.
On those, I haven't played it forever.
Yeah, we've got Xbox, but we don't really use it. So
get a PC as well.
Okay.
So what about you? What you do?
Yeah, I'm going between Xbox, PlayStation 3, and PC and Switch. Switch, I use it more as a handheld on the go. So when I'm traveling or something and I can't do anything, I just put on some Nintendo games, and they're always fun to play with. On my PC, I've been playing Witcher 3 and all that awesome game right there. So
Witcher's a great game, yeah. I'm waiting for the CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk too. It's gonna be cool.
Oh yeah.
How about you, Pixel, man?
fantastic.
Yeah, it does, man. It looks ridiculous. And I hate FPSs too, but I'm going to play it. What about you, Pixel, man?
And I've got too many systems here. I actually had to take some of them off my TV because I didn't have enough ports. But so I've got a PC sitting underneath my desk that I rarely use anymore, but I still play Overwatch and a few other things on that. I've got an Xbox. Let's see, Xbox One underneath my desk. I've got an Xbox One X downstairs that I play sometimes. And then all the other like high-end consoles I didn't really get, unfortunately. I want to get a Switch, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it just because I don't play as much anymore. It's mostly spending time programming and drawing. So I figured it would be kind of a waste of my money at the moment. But I also had an arcade machine up until about 3 months ago. I sold it just recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, cool. So I had the Neo Geo, which is why I've got the little logo and stuff here. But I actually had purchased at auction a Neo Geo that was in pretty bad shape, and I restored it and then fixed it all up and played on it for a couple of years. And then I got my money back on it.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. See, I never sell anything, but How about you? How about you, Pope? What are you playing on right now? It looks like you're on PC, I'd assume. She is killing stuff.
She is very busy. She is fully focused.
She's muted.
Your mic's muted, Pope.
I think she stepped up.
Okay, we'll come back to her. She's really busy killing stuff. It's cool. Let her do her thing.
I'm sorry, I forgot I had muted myself.
That's all right. What systems are you using now?
I play PC. I used to be big on Xbox, but they kind of they messed up with Halo 5, and then they got rid of Lionhead, and that's one of my favorite franchises is Fable. So I just play on PC now. Yeah,
I'm mainly PC too, although I do have everything technically, but when my children went to university, they took it all with them. So I literally only have a PC. I had everything though, but that's okay. They're playing more than I would anyway. William Reed over here has a comment. William says, does anyone remember the hype when Myst was released for the PC? The first crossover between live action and the game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that game. Yeah.
That was a weird game when you didn't understand what you were doing. You were exploring. You had your choices counted. And if you didn't get the certain item, you wouldn't be able to complete the game and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I was just too young for it, but I remember watching my brother play it, and I was like, "What is this? This is not a game. This is not fun."
So, I do own a 3DS, and I play Fire Emblem on that every once in a while, but that's about it. So.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. There's certainly a lot of good consoles, and there's more coming. Although we could have a conversation just on the future of gaming console itself, so we should probably move on. So what I want to do now is I want us to move on, and I want to talk about each of you to tell us what is your favorite genre or type of gaming and a notable game in that genre. We'll go ahead and we'll start with our friend down under, Beowulf.
Oh man, you had to start with me. My favorite genre. I don't know. If I look back at the games that I probably enjoyed the most, it was games like StarCraft, Warcraft.
Strategy.
I was a big Mech Commander, which is player. It didn't really involve like building and stuff, but it had the strategy and was for many years part of like an online gaming group. This is back when you had to create your own websites and stuff because the games didn't support leagues, and we played Mech Commander for a long time. But I don't mind first-person shooters when you have your mates around and you're having some drinks and you're just trying to kill each other. But and games like Diablo. So yeah, I don't know, man. Why'd you have to start with me?
Well, I'm sorry, I'll come back to you. How about that? Those are all good games, though. Booster, man, go ahead and tell us about your favorite genre and some notable games in it.
Genre, man, I can't really put it down to genre, bro, but what I could tell you what I like is I like a complex game that has good map design, kind of an adventure game, that keeps you going throughout the game. Say Resident Evil 4, you know, I consider that game a really fantastic map design, where you really understand where you're going without it telling you where to go with bloody objective markers. Yeah, I really hate objective markers. It's kind of hand-holding crap. That I like figuring out where I got to go myself with clever map design.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah.
Yep. But damn, when I think of best games, I think of things like the Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Prince of Persia, Resident Evil 4, Shadow of the Colossus. Those are some great games.
That Shadow of the Colossus was a great game, yeah.
Now, what about the map design of Skyrim?
Oh, man. Oh, I'm going to get absolutely lynched here. I'm just not into Skyrim. I just didn't get it.
Oh, okay.
I just didn't get it personally. I'm sure people love it. I personally don't get it.
It's a fun game. I don't care for the aesthetics myself, but I get you.
Because the map design of that one, it took you longer to get places based upon having to wind your way maybe through a mountain or a forest area, than just having a bigger map.
Well, you guys aren't going to like my answer to this question, but since you're on it, Mr. DeWolf, why don't you tell us about your favorite genre and some notable games in it, man?
Well, you know me, I'm going to throw it for a curve. I like story.
Hello, Kitty.
Yeah. So I like story. And going all the way back to Atari, you would get the little Yar's Revenge game and you would pop it in and you'd fly around to go there. But the manual itself kind of was a comic book going back to comics where so it had this old comic book. It had maybe a storyline in there. And so it gave a reason for you then to be playing and doing the things in the game. And you progress that over to the Commodore 64. There was BattleTech, Crescent Hawk's Inception. So now you're the son of a mercenary, and you have a mech, and you have to fight, and you get missions and jobs and things. And eventually there's a broader story that leads you on, throughout the game, and which easily leads to just all the RPG type games like Halo. Halo is a first person shooter, but has one of the most, especially for the time when it came out, a very dynamic storyline. You had, Covenant, who were religious zealots. Imagine that concept, religious zealots starting a war. And, you're fighting your way, doing things, and you had a mission objective and to go to, and there was the game was at stake, and going on to today, even Overwatch, as we see, Popefire playing, there isn't just the static concept behind just having players and having them shoot each other. They have done something amazing, and that is create stories behind every particular character, so that now there's a reason for them to do things. Reason for them to have catchphrases and cool things going on, and how they interact with one another. So you show me a good story. Even the military games, I love military and strategy. Like now, Civilization doesn't have a story behind it. You're almost creating a story as you play Civilization, right? Even SimCity, you're creating the city itself. But yeah, give me a great story, build something around it, and that's the genre, if you will, that I enjoy.
Oh, that's cool, man. Before we move on to Denali, I have put this on the screen here. Name that game. Anybody do it?
I will as soon as I can see it.
Oh, it's on the screen.
Isn't that Mother, I think?
No. This is a
Guys, we
great
have to
game.
check the door.
Nobody. Wow, nobody. How about the chat? I'll leave it up here on the screen, but we'll go to Denali. But let come over here to chat real quick and look at some of the things you guys are talking about. We had people mention RTSs, still talking about Injustice, Nintendo DS. We have Dawn of War, yes. We have Hearts of Iron and Men of War, yes. So there you go. Oblivion, Morrowind, absolutely. Let's see, we've got anything else here? Morrowind and Overwatch. And James says, "I'm old, Chester, but I'm not that old." Well, I thought you started playing games that started were called Pyramid or something like that. Aren't you from like the Old West and Tombstone and stuff like that? Well, come on, that was a little bit funny, guys. Nothing. Just left me hanging right there. Maybe that was too deep.
I was concentrating on your hero game.
Yes, well, I'm going to leave that up, and Denali's going to talk about things he likes, and I want to see if anybody can name this game. I love this game, and I want to see if anyone can name it. So, Denali.
All right, it looks like some kind of point-and-click adventure. Do I have that right?
Yeah, it was a little more involved in that. You actually do some fighting and stuff, too. This is a really cool game. But Denali, go ahead, tell us what's your favorite genre and some notable games in it, please.
Okay, well, I'm more of the RPG tactics kind of game, like Final Fantasy Tactics. I also enjoy Morrowind. I saw in the chat that a lot of people were talking about that, and I like Oblivion. That was actually my favorite game. So I joined that storyline, and a lot of it would be, looking through my whole things, there's a lot of RPGs or action RPGs elements in there as well. Some of the elements like Mass Effects would be similar. You have Tale of Vespians. You have, let me see, I like Kingdom Hearts when it came out, and I still do with that.
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, Deus Ex. I like that.
Deus Ex was a good game. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that one. So that's been my jam. I like a lot of the old school Final Fantasy, like Booster said earlier.
My man.
Yeah. So I have those for the 3DS when they re-released it for the DS.
Dude, the re-release for 6 was absolutely shockingly bad. I was like offended.
Yeah.
Thank you for diverting your language. That was very kind of you.
Definitely. But I still enjoy Chrono Cross. I can always pop that one in and play it beginning to end and still have the same feeling as when I first played it. So that's an awesome game. And I think, is that Hoboken that you have on screen?
What's the full name?
League of Hoboken?
Nope.
No.
Nope. This is the original, by the way. It's not the follow-up. But you're close.
Okay.
No one in the chat's mentioned either, so I'll go ahead and I'll tell the name. This is called Heroes of Hoboken. And it was a superhero game. It was certainly parody and comedic, but it was great, man. There was good storytelling. It was fun. There was character development. It was a really good game. It looked kind of goofy, and it was kind of goofy, but it was a good game done goofy. And if you guys haven't checked it out, I suggest this. And there's been some remasters of this and some updates of this. Heroes of Hoboken series is a lot of fun. It's really, really done well by the people who created it. Yeah, Heroes of Hoboken. No one's played that, huh? Just across the board. All right.
No.
I do see people here mentioning Zelda. Of course, I played the NES one to death, but they talk about Breath of the Wild. Now, you mentioned you have a Switch. You played Zelda on that?
Oh, heck yeah. I played almost all the Zelda's games.
Well, how was it? How was the new one?
It was freaking awesome. I enjoyed it. It allowed you to explore and do whatever you want and finish it whatever you want. The only drawbacks was that the temples or dungeons that they had was kind of lacking, because they made it in a way that you can solve it with however you want it. So they kind of made it simplistic, but otherwise, just exploring Hyrule, exploring the lands, figuring how to do those mini shrine temple challenges, they were awesome for what it was. So I really enjoyed it. I spent hours on it.
I know a lot of people did. My daughter has a Switch, and she played it and loved it. I tried it a little bit, but it looks really cool. Since we're talking about Zelda, the original Zelda, I played and finished that. I actually began and at the end, which was rough. Have any of you guys played the original Zelda and finished it?
Yes.
Which one's the original?
The
The
original
one-
is the original.
But well, that's not bloody helpful, is it? Like,
No, he means
like,
the
there's so bloody many.
The Legend of Zelda.
Legend
Yes,
of
the NES, yeah.
But did you play the second quest of the original Legend of Zelda?
No
Oh,
complicated. It's a simple question.
Well, yes, I beat it the first time, but then you also have to go through it a second time because all the enemies are a little stronger and things are a little bit different.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I did that. Yeah. I played that game a lot. Wow, so not a lot of people played Zelda. That's okay.
I've definitely played Zelda. I can't remember the whole game like picture perfect all the way through, but I definitely remember it, and it got pretty tough. Like some of those dungeons were pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, so those games. This is back when games actually were challenging.
Yeah, I played it. I just never finished it.
Yeah, no, it's rough. It's a difficult game.
So did you finish Adventures of Link?
Adventures of Link. Did I play that one? I might have. I played many of the Zelda games. I can't remember all the names of them though.
I actually hated that one.
What system was that on? Didn't know.
That was the sequel to Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, that was
I
NES still.
The one where he's in the overworld and then it goes into a battle system. You have to jump and all that stuff.
I don't remember it offhand. Maybe I didn't. I would think I would have, but
Yeah.
but I don't know. That's all right. Let's continue with our question here. And John, tell us, what is your favorite genre and some notable games in it, sir?
Oh man, that's tough. I really was getting into RPGs for a little while. I really liked a lot of Japanese RPGs like Suikoden and oh my gosh, and I like really tough RPGs like Demon Souls and Dark Souls and stuff like that. I was really into those. Ni no Kuni was really fun. I really love puzzle games a lot, and my favorite, obviously, first-person shooters. My absolute favorite has to be 2D side-scroller, like action-adventure games, though. Like, probably my favorite series is Mega Man. Like, every dang Mega Man out there, but like the X series was obviously better graphics, so I like that a little bit more. First-person shooters I really love, starting anywhere from Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, Quake. Let's see. Resistance Fall of Man, that was really fun. I kind of stopped at like, I don't know, probably the 5th or 6th Call of Duty. But I mean, Overwatch looks really cool. I'd love to play it, but I haven't really gotten that far. But mainly, yeah, 2D side scrollers, action adventure games, even some like 3D type of side scroller. But I really like games on rails more than anything. I like having a set path. If there's too much exploring or too much to do, I'm out. I got better stuff to do at that point.
Well, there's a lot of those type of games you mentioned right here on the screen now. There's some very famous ones, of course, Arkham and Half-Life, World of War, Call of Duty, EverQuest.
EverQuest. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Those are good games. All right. Well, Pixel, I am sure you have a very interesting answer to the question of your favorite genre and some notable games in it.
You know, it's funny. Every year or two, I'll shift what I like to play, but I played World of Warcraft for nearly 10 years.
Jeez.
Yeah. I played it for a really long time, from vanilla all the way up until Pandas, and then I left it for a little bit, came back and played for a few more expansions, and then finally gave it up. But overall, I think over time, the genres that I love the most are either shooters or racing games, actually.
Oh, really? Like, what's a good racing game?
Man, it used to be the Forza series. I really, really enjoyed the Gran Turismo. I really liked too.
F-Zero, right?
What's that?
F-Zero.
Oh, F-Zero was fantastic. Yeah, dude, there were just so many different. Each system had a really good game to it that was just perfect for racing, and F-Zero was one of those games that was just brilliant.
Do you guys remember?
Go ahead.
Do you guys remember Road Rage, where you can like just push people off motorcycles and stuff?
Oh, Road Rash, yeah.
Road Rash, yeah.
Yeah, Road Rash was a fantastic game, and actually that was one of the best games that was on the 3DO. They had a really good version of it there.
I Hunter.
Spy Hunter. That's another very good one.
Oh yeah.
RC Pro-Am.
Yeah.
Like I said, every system had some standout games on it. So it just depends. Lately, I've been playing a lot more like fighting games and some of the racing games, like I said, Forza. But there was I'm drawing a blank on the game now. All of a sudden, it's basically a car RPG.
The Crew.
The Crew. Thank you. So I haven't played The Crew 2 yet, but I played the hell out of The Crew, the original one. The Crew was one of those games where it's so much fun because you're competing against other people, but you're also competing against the computer, and you've got all that extra stuff into it, and you're building up your cars, and it feeds that addiction for wanting to upgrade things. And so I played a lot of that, and just the whole open world aspect of it, where you can drive all over the place. Like I actually did a stream a while back. Driving coast to coast. It took me like 2 hours, but I did it. I drove all the way across the country.
That's cool. That's it. I saw you could do that in the game. Road Warrior, or I don't know if they're calling it Road Warrior or Mad Max, but that is a video game. It's kind of like an open world thing, but it really is a car game in general.
Yeah, definitely. Car builder for sure.
Metal Slug.
Yeah, I was going to talk about a couple games really quick too. Because, like I said, the Neo Geo, when I got it, I actually bought a cart from overseas that had about 160 games on it.
Wow.
So I was able to play pretty much the entire library from the Neo Geo system. And there were a couple standout games, and one of them was Metal Slug. And I pumped so many quarters into this game at the arcade. It's just a really fun action shooter. Lots of stuff exploding everywhere, grenades, really cool weapons. You could all hop in a tank and blow stuff up. Fantastic game. Samurai Showdown was one of the standout fighters. After Street Fighter hit the scene, there were a lot of other games that kind of came out, but Samurai Showdown was the first one to really have that whole samurai kind of foreign kind of feel to it, and I really liked the feel of this game. Super Baseball, which some people don't remember. This was one of those high-tech sports games. The thing that ticked me off a lot about Super Baseball was that you only got maybe 2-3 innings into the game before it would ask you for more quarters. So you had a time limit at the top. You could play for like 5 minutes or something like that, and you'd get partly through the game, and you're kicking butt, and you're like, wait, you mean I have to put more quarters in? I don't get to finish the game. So you would just pump quarters into the game to play it.
You remember the football one where it had robots instead of players? It was similar to this.
I'm trying to remember the name of that one. I can't.
All I can remember is Blitz. Maybe
Blitz.
That's the name.
Well, Blitz was the name of the game. But
it wasn't Blitz. They weren't robots. Those were.
Yeah, it was just like guys. But I thought there was a actual robot one.
No, there was one similar to what you're talking about here. It was really cool.
And then King of Fighters, I think, was one of my favorites because it basically had all of the SNK guys, and sometimes they'd work in some of the Capcom guys, especially the SNK versus Capcom games. You'd have Ryu being able to fight against Terry Bogard and some of those guys, and so it was just a fantastic fighter with so many choices to play. And sometimes I think the really cool thing here was you could pick like 3 different fighters on your team, and so you'd get into a big brawl. One of your guys would be kind of messed up. You could bounce him back to rest up and then come in and fight with another character. And so you could just continue to fight with 3 different characters.
Hey, Pixel, Primark Sanguinius wants to know, have you seen the trailer for the new Samurai Showdown, man?
I have not, but while I was doing some research for the game, I saw that. And I'm going to have to do some more looking into that because that looks pretty interesting. Definitely. But what I was going to show too, you focused on this for a minute, but I'd already gone through a lot of them. This is kind of what the machine looked like when I first got it. So this is the coin counter for your credits. And so I cleaned that up and fixed it with a Sharpie, actually. And so it came out pretty good. But this is the state of like the cherry switches and the buttons that are inside of it.
Yeah.
That's what the control console looked like after people had spilled soda and stuff on the console a number of times and I never cleaned it up properly.
Oh, terrible.
Cool,
so when you pull everything apart, you get to see all this mess here. And that's what the bottom of the little like panel kind of looked like. So I'm kind of stealing the time here, but this thing was in pretty bad shape. I'll just fast forward through these really quick here.
Oh no, dude, talk about it. This is cool.
Right, yeah. So I stripped the whole thing down and painted it because I thought it would look cooler painted. and then got it to a point where I bought new controls for it. I actually bought clear ones that had LEDs inserted in them, and clean. That's the fixed up panel there.
Did that have 3D World Heroes or World Heroes 2 or something like that?
Yeah, I had World Heroes on it also. Yeah. So
yes.
Pretty much the entire library from Neo Geo was on that cart that I had.
That's cool, man. Look at that.
But I don't know if I've got other. Let's see.
Good on you, man. That is cool.
Yeah, that's what it looked like when I first got it. It was pretty
Good thing
banged up.
nobody cared about germs back then.
No kidding. But yeah, I'll go ahead and switch back here. But yeah,
rad.
yeah,
Oh,
I love the arcade machines, and the Neo Geo was top.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's cool that you got an arcade and cabinet and I can't even use my words.
I restored it. Yeah,
You're too speechless.
I got it for $150 at auction. It cost me about $125 to ship it because it's so heavy. It's about 400 pounds, I think, with the monitor and all the guts and stuff in it.
That seems really cheap for shipping, actually.
Yeah, I got a pretty good deal on it. And then I spent probably $300 restoring it between the cart, which was almost $100. It was like $200 in supplies to fix up everything I did on it. And then I wound up selling it for about what I paid for it.
Well, why'd you sell it, man? Why would you ever get rid of that?
It got to a point where I had moved 3 times, and I was having to hire professional movers to help me move it because it was so heavy, and I didn't want to deal with it all the time. And it was sitting in my garage for about a year and a half, 2 years, and I would go out and I'd play it, but I got kind of tired of playing it all the time. I didn't have the time to play it, and I thought maybe somebody else would enjoy it. So I happened to get in touch with somebody that was a really big collector in video games and stuff, and he came by, checked it out, and bought it from me on the spot.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool,
and if you like contacts like this with Pixel talking about restorations and us talking about video games, make sure to hit that like button.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely. Nice. We can take a commercial break here in 1 second. But first, it looks like Mr. DeWolf found the name of that robot football game.
Yes, Cyberball.
Yeah, I love that arcade game, man.
Yeah, I never played that one.
Passer and your receiver and your couple of little guys up front, and you'd have to patch them up, and they'd be smoking and they'd blow up. It was cool.
It was a great game. I love that one. But okay, we will take a little commercial break before we move on to Pope. It is top of the hour here. So yeah, guys, absolutely. We see we have some new people in here. Reaper 504 is saying hello to you, John. A friend of yours.
Whoa, no way. What's up, Reaper?
Yeah. Hey, well, thanks for joining us. But yeah, guys, do help us out. Hit that like button. It helps with the algorithms with YouTube. And also subscribe to the channel and come over and check out what we're doing. We're having a lot of fun over here. We're doing a lot of shows. We have new things we're planning on coming up soon. Got a lot of really enthusiastic people, and we want you to be part of it. Remember, go to the FanSpeak Facebook page. The link is down below, and tell us, hey, I want to be on the show, and we will put you on. Understand that this is about having the fans come in here and talk together and chat about stuff. And of course, FanSpeak is a much more focused thing, talking about what's going on in the comic book industry. But here we're just having fun talking about a topic. But we'd love to have you in every week. We try to get more fans coming in and as our guests. And we're having a lot of fun meeting each other and talking icon to icon as it is. And it's fun. So, don't just sit in the chat. Come over here with us and have a conversation, But let's go ahead and continue this question. We've got 2 more people to go. And I'm hoping that Pope can speak now. Pope,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Now, the question is very simple, Pope Fire. What is your favorite genre and some notable games in it?
First-person shooters, definitely. My favorite game is the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. I actually bought an Xbox to play it, and I remember playing that one when it first came out. I do play Left 4 Dead is one of my favorites. I have played some RPGs like Fable. I've played Fable so many times that I can actually quote it. Fighter games, I mostly just stick to Mortal Kombat or Injustice. But yeah, I play mostly shooters. I'm not very good at driving games, ironically. Or, yes, unironically.
Are you normally a good driver? Is that what you mean?
I was making a joke. Driver. Yeah, I'm also part Asian, so.
Okay. I don't know.
There's the context. Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Well, I actually live in Japan, and these are, as far as drivers go, there are far better drivers here than I saw in America. But then again, they actually follow the rules, so maybe that's probably why.
Americans don't follow the rules.
Yeah, but don't go to China and drive a car or walk anywhere near a street because you will die.
The wall, guys. The wall. Protect the wall.
China's ridiculous. But cool. All right. Thank you, Pope. Very interesting. We're here and checking out your Overwatch. I wish your stream was a little tighter so we could see it smoother, but it is cool. And I've seen Overwatch before, so there's definitely a theme skin on here for Halloween going on, I guess, which is cool. Yeah. All right. So the last person to answer the question would be me, but I will make a couple of comments before I get into that. Once again, to mention the Fan Speak art contest, which is going to be in a alternate comic, a full page. We want all of you to put your art in, and we will be doing the actual straw poll on October 31st, Halloween. We're going to do a Halloween show. And we're also going to be doing the Comics Titan fundraiser at the same time. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So please put your submissions in. Go over to the Fanspeak page on Facebook. You see a link just down below. And Denali has an announcement sitting at the top of the page. Just go ahead and put your submissions in there. We want a Fanspeak logo, and we want a Fanspeak mascot specifically. And like I said, if you win, or they could be two winners too, because they're two separate things. You will actually have your art in a comic book, which is a very cool thing. We think that is awesome. So please do that. Go over and put your submissions in there, and that will be on October 31st. Now, as far as the Comics Titans fundraiser, and if we could have someone please drop that link down in the chat for us. The Comics Titan fundraiser is something that Popefire is doing, and it's a really good idea. What she's trying to do is she's trying to raise some funds to help out people in the community who can't afford some of these Indiegogo books under this Indiegogo Renaissance. And what you can do is you can go over to the Comics Titans fundraiser, and the artist, the protege of Mike S. Miller, Eric Ninotowski, is handling all the money for this. And for $3, you get one raffle ticket, and for $5, you get two. And there's actually a lot of really cool prizes that have already come in. So, Pope, if you have a minute, could you please talk to us and tell us a little bit about the prizes they can win for this raffle?
Yeah, okay, so we have everything from some pretty rare comics, like the first appearance of Nightwing, to volumes of Ultimate Spider-Man, to statues. My comic shop actually donated or gave me a discount on one of these statues here because they liked the idea of the fundraiser. We have prints that artists have donated, like Gary Shipman and Eric and Timothy Lim. We just have like all sorts of cool stuff that I think you guys would really like. As soon as we hit 300 donations, we're gonna start doing physical books, because right now we can only really afford digital. But we have handed out, I think, in total 10 books already. So we're doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's cool. So we're already taking the funds that are coming in and helping people already. That's amazing. And this is going on for the entire month, and October 31st is going to be the actual raffle. So yeah, it's really cool, guys. You should go over and support that. I think it's a good idea. And it's also fun. It's a community fun thing. Having raffles is always an exciting thing to do. And just keep in mind, I see some comments going on over here in the chat. Just keep in mind for the Fanspeak logo and mascot art contest, it has to be something original, guys. You can't use anything copyrighted, because we are actually putting this in a comic book, so it can't be anything that would get us in trouble. So it has to be original stuff. And I love the idea of Doctor Doom and Starfire, yes, I know, and all that kind of stuff. It would be cool, but we can't do that. So please, and just keep in mind, even if you don't win the contest, which in the straw poll, we still have all that art, and we can use it on the site, and we can put it around and do different things with it. So it's a lot of fun, and we want everyone to get involved. All right, so moving on to myself answering the question of what is my favorite genre and some notable games in it. Well, mine is very, very easy. I am a big MMO fan. That's what I like, and I'll put a couple up here just kind of talk about it. We were talking about Zelda earlier, and that's certainly not an MMO, but it is a game I really enjoy. But here I do have a couple other ones, and what I have up here was two games. One game I'm playing now, one game I consider to be the best MMO ever made. Up here I have Black Desert. Is anybody playing Black Desert or tried it out at all?
I played it a wee bit. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, I played it for a little bit as well.
Mm-hmm. Don't recall it.
It's not the greatest MMO in the world, but it is pretty, and it is a little different. It's kind of interesting. Unfortunately, right now we're in kind of a dead zone for MMOs. There is a couple that are coming out. Pantheon is coming up, and which is kind of interesting. Jim Lee is a big MMO player, and I watch his live drawing show on YouTube, and he's actually directly involved with the Pantheon guys. He's been doing some dev work with them, and actually some going out and kind of beta or pre-alpha testing it. But that game looks pretty amazing what they're planning on doing with that. So that might be a good one. But right now we don't have a lot of good MMOs to play, or new ones anyway. But I am playing Black Desert, and that's fun. But I want to talk more about City of Heroes. Now, I've played a lot of MMOs, you name it, I've probably played it. I love MMOs, and I've been doing it, WoW, and of course, Dungeons and Dragons Online, and Neverwinter, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But this one here, City of Heroes, is superhero themed. It is an MMO, and I truly believe it is the best MMO ever made. And it had a lot to do with the love of the dev team and all the updates and stuff they put out. So I guess my question to you guys is have any of you ever played City of Heroes?
Yes.
Nope.
And
I
I
have.
played City of Villains as well.
It's one of the games I had prepared for today. I love City of Heroes.
Well, please put up your image, and I will share yours as well.
Do that. All right. I just have the kind of generic.
That's all right.
The only one I ever loved was WildStar, and it's closing down.
WildStar, I played that a lot too, and that's sad. It didn't hit. I don't know why. Why do you think that didn't hit, man? That's a really cool game.
Oh, when it came out, it was buggy as hell. I think it had a shoddy launch. It wanted to compete with the big boys. It wanted to be a full release game with a subscription. I think it overshot.
I'll be back later, guys.
Okay.
And I think it didn't have enough content to justify what it was after money-wise.
Yeah, well, it went free, and it didn't save it though, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at that point it was a much better game too, but it lost its initial footing. Kind of the same thing.
I loved it. I thought it was.
Once it went free, I think the main core dev went from City of Heroes to Champion Online as well.
Well, yeah, the history of that goes like this. Basically, what you had going on with City of Heroes is, like I said, it was a great MMO. It's too bad you can't play it anymore because that game was just so much fun. The community was great. But it got bought by a Korean company, and even though they were making money, it was still profitable. Even though it was an old game, they decided to push more of their own stuff, and they just basically shut it down. Therefore, what happened was a lot of the guys who were developing that game jumped over to Champions Online. Now, Champions is a cool game. I own that. I have a lifetime membership, actually, and it's fun. But it just never captured the cool factor of City of Heroes, the great role-playing, the good stories. It just didn't capture it. And, of course, Champions is still going on. You can still play it. But a lot of those same developers that came to City of Heroes that went to Champions then jumped over to DC Online. Now, DC Universe Online is also a good game. It's a beautiful game, but it just doesn't hit it. It's missing something, and that's kind of where the evolution. And actually, this year, coming up next year, there's actually 3 fan-based groups that have been developing their own recreations of the City of Heroes that are coming out. You have City of Titans. You have I can't remember all of them, but Valiant's online, and there's another one. It's like in some ship in space. But they are trying to bring those back, and I hope they have success. But does any of you guys ever play Champions or DC Universe Online?
Yeah, I tried to get into Champions. For me, it was the character creation that let it down, and the graphics. That everything looked kind of like plasticky compared to City of Heroes. City of Heroes just was like, for me, the best part about City of Heroes was the character creation. You could just spend hours creating any character you wanted. The amount of depth you could go into. And yeah, I dabbled a little bit in DC Universe Online as well. It has one of the best trailers. I love the trailer for DC Universe Online.
It is amazing, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it was about why it didn't take off.
It didn't have the charm, City of Heroes, that lore, world building, because with City of Heroes, you felt like that setting was lived in, the design was awesome and everything. And then with Champions and then DC Online, it kind of feels hollow because they're not using their own character. So you feel like they're just copy and pasting work that they already done. I mean, it's good work, but they don't have the same passion for those projects as it was with City of Heroes before.
Yeah, no, I agree. The City of Heroes, the development team was quite amazing. Although I would say, Beowulf, that with Champions over the years, they've actually improved the character creation quite a bit, and you can actually do that, make some amazing stuff. And that's one of the things I love about MMOs is character creation. I've never been big into playing somebody else's character. I'm not so interested in being Nathan Drake or Laura Croft. I'm much more interested in making my own character. And I think that comes from the fact that I play a lot of tabletop RPG and things like that. But that's my favorite genre is MMOs. I love them. And but you know, it's not for everyone. Does everyone here at least tried an MMO?
Nope. Not a chance. I don't have a computer, so I don't know. I've watched my friends play them. They look kind of cool, but it's just too much. My brain would just.
For me, that World of Warcraft style combat is really dull. So I only really play an MMO that has like a really fun or unique twist on it, like a more action-oriented style to it. So that's
like
why.
Blade and Soul or something like that.
Yeah, that's why I absolutely adored WildStar.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. But DC Universe Online had a slightly more like fighter type combat than the traditional press the button combat. I do like MMOs, but I mainly play them for the character creation. I'll create a character, I'll play it for a while, and then I'll create a new one.
Shut it down, eh?
But actually, there was for a while like City of Heroes character creation was so loved that for a while, even after the game was gone, you could just download the character creator to create characters. But yeah, no, I usually play for a while through the first few missions and stuff. Then I just get tired. I find it a little bit too. I find them a bit too repetitive. I like the old role playing games, you know, like Fallout and Fallout 1 and 2. But I had the same problem once it went first person, and I just found it boring after a while. So
yeah. Well, you know, what do you think about the fact that there are fan-based groups that have come together and they're creating their own recreations of City of Heroes? There's 3 of them coming up next year.
Yeah, I've heard talk about it for like a long time, so I'll believe it when I see it. But if it comes out, then yeah, I'll be on.
What do you guys think about this new Fallout 76? That's short.
Oh goodness gracious!
Yes. Here's the thing about Fallout that Chester doesn't realize. It's got a great story. Let me go back to that again. You took a world that came from the Cold War era, and then you go ahead and move that forward. So with City of Heroes, Denali was talking about the lived-in world. Fallout has a very lived-in world, and with all the little bitty things that remind you of our own world that are merged into that world. The noir, they've got Pong. Matter of fact, the new Fallout 4 now has where you can play a game like Pong and Missile Command,
Yeah.
and Space Invaders on arcade games within the game, and that's just a level of genius I love.
Well, I did play the second Fallout, actually, and it did have a good story. And yes, Mr. Boyette, we are nerds and proud of it. We are the nerd crew. Thank you very much.
Nerds.
No, I'm not proud. I'm deeply ashamed of it.
Now, as far as MMOs, I like the original Star Wars Online.
That was a good one, yeah. Galaxies.
Yeah, Star Wars Galaxies. Yeah, I had a medic, and I had to make some medicines, and I could pump them into my store. And while it was gone, people would buy the medicines, and I was helping out the rebellion by keeping people alive. That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, man. And like the Heroes of Hoboken was kind of, it wasn't an MMO, but it had that feel to it as far as the storytelling and the way you could move around and make your own choices. That's kind of why I mentioned it earlier. But cool. All right, so we should move on to the next question, which I think should bring up a lot of interesting conversation. What is your favorite, or who, excuse me, is your favorite character? And I mean that specifically, not video game. I mean your favorite comic book character. Now, I put a few together. I don't know. I doubt this will cover all the ones you guys talk about. But you see on the screen here, we have, of course, Samus up here from Metroid. And I'm not, if you look at that picture, I'm not really sure how she fits in the armor. But I guess it's a conversation for another day. We have Kratos. We have the commander here from Mass Effect. We have, of course, Kojima's legendary Metal Gear Solid character, so yeah, Solid Snake, and of course we have Duke Nukem. These are just a few I put up. I got a couple others, but why don't you guys go ahead and talk about who's your favorite character, man?
Master Chief.
Master Chief.
I'll go out there first with Master Chief. Yeah,
this guy.
You read the novel? You read any of the novels?
I have not read any of the novels, unfortunately.
Grab the first. The first novel is brilliant, and it will make you love Master Chief 1,000 times more.
Awesome. I got really into Halo. I played tons and tons of the original game competitively against my friends and stuff, and we actually had a lunch area set up with dueling Xboxes so we could play against each other. And so that was kind of my life for a long time. And just Halo in general, everything about that game and the subsequent games for quite a while, I was totally into it.
Can you like Master Chief and not like Cortana since they're integrated?
I suppose you could. I liked Cortana though, personally.
Yeah.
quite a bit better than Link's little Navi assistant friend that would pop out. Hey, look at me.
Hey, listen. Hey, listen.
Master Chief.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah. How about you, John? Who's your favorite video game character, man?
I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, there we go. Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. He's probably one of my favorites.
Dead Space.
I do really love Mega Man and Zero, but Isaac Clarke, that whole series was one of my favorite game series ever. It was just so cool. He had such a cool outfit or suit, space suit, and you could switch up his space suits, upgrade it, and I don't know. He was totally insane, and but I don't know. He was just great.
No, Dead Space was a good game, man. How about you, Denelli? Who's your favorite character, man?
It would have to be Kane from Legacy of Kain.
Oh yeah, that's a good character as well.
Yeah, so it's made from the same team that went over and made Nathan Drake.
Oh, it is. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the writers and everything.
Oh, that's cool. How about you, Mr. DeWolf? Who's your favorite video game character, man?
I No, just I I gotta agree. Master Chief's good, and I'm trying to consider who else that I would go for, and it's just so difficult to wrap your head around one character. Let me think about that some more.
Sure, no problem. How about you, Booster Man? Favorite character?
Oh, no. Well, I've managed to keep one guilty pleasure out of this conversation for now, but I guess I'll reveal one of them. So I absolutely bloody love Kingdom Hearts.
Okay,
And,
that's a very popular game.
And I gotta say, Sora, man, he's an absolute cheeseball. He's not like your really typical bloody, well, your silent protagonist or your super serious protagonist. He's a total cheeseball. He's the kind of guy that will forgive someone who betrays him within an instant. He's like, it's cool, man. I love him. He's adorable.
That's cool. How about you, Beowulf? Who's your favorite video game character, man?
Oh my goodness. Jim Raynor from StarCraft 1.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. Master Chief is right up there, especially if you take into account the novels. It's so hard to just choose one. Ryu from Street Fighter 2, or Ryu, however you want to say it.
That is a really tough question to answer. I
Doom
gotta
guy.
pick one.
I guess it is.
Yeah, speaking about favorite guys, Doom guy. Remember the little controversy about the political correctness about they don't like to be called demons. They just like to be called mortally challenged.
They were trolling him. Yeah, it was funny.
I am pre-ordering the super deluxe edition of that game if they don't back down or apologize.
Yeah, that was funny. It was funny. But I'll mention mine real quick, and then I'll go over here to chat and take a look what they're talking about over here. But actually, for me, my favorite character is the Bard. The Bard's Tale is one of my favorite games I've ever played in my life. It's an old game, but it's a great game, great story, and I love the Bard. He's my favorite character. You guys ever play this?
No.
Silence.
No.
Silence. That's sad. Hey, guys, you can pick this up everywhere real cheap or even free in some cases. I really do suggest you go check out the Bard's Tale.
Edwin's on board. Edwin's got you.
Yeah. It's a great game. And it's a great story. It's a lot of fun. It's quirky. It's funny. It's got music in it. It's just cool. If you haven't tried it out, go try the Bard's Tale, guys. It's a really fun game. And since Edwin is agreeing with me, thank you very much, sir. Actually, I saw one of his comments that I wanted to respond to. He said, "Lol, I played MUDs." And yes, so did I. I played a lot of MUDs. And you guys play those kind of games?
Yeah.
Now, a MUD is a multi-user dungeon. And this is before MMO was, the massively multiplayer online game. And it was text-based games, although some of them did try to put in some attempts at art. And you just play this text game, making decisions and stuff. You played Denali. Who else here has played?
I play text-based games. I remember when I was really young, I played a game called Drug Wars. Like you were a drug dealer.
That was great.
I think the one that I remember was the only unofficial MUD game by the Anne Catherine's estate for Pern. So that was a cool setting to play with.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Nobody else, huh? Oh, that's cool.
I can't think of anything offhand other than that Drug Wars game.
Oh, Pixel's showing a little demo there. If you want to show up, that's something that I'm excited to look forward to. Cyberpunk.
Oh, yes, this game looks amazing. We'll just real quick and get off this MUD thing, but I think it is worth mentioning. Of course, you had the original MUD, and you had another one I remember. It was really good. It was Avalon. That was a long time ago. That was fun though.
Edwin says Betrayal at Condor.
Crondor.
Betrayal at Crondor, yeah. Mm-hmm. We also had I think there was one that was called Ancient Anguish. I might have played. That was a really good one. Then in the 90s, there was a whole bunch of good ones. I'm trying to remember the names. It was so long ago, but there was Dragon Spires, I think, and there was a Dune one, and I think there was one called Threshold as well.
Weren't those games kind of expensive because you had to pay? You're paying for the internet, and then you had to pay for that game as well. So you were paying like $50 a month.
I don't recall ever paying anything for any of them ever.
Yeah, or maybe I'm thinking of the even older games before. I remember reading about it that before they started doing mud and those applications, it would cost prohibitive because you were using internet, your phone lines, and it was eating up, I guess, the people's minutes.
Back with AOL and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess I didn't really look at it that way. But yeah, I used to love MUDs. I played them to death, man. A lot of fun. Edwin down here says we played a lot of the same MUDs. Yes, we did. Avalon was good. Ancient Name, Aardvark. I remember an Aardvark MUD. Yeah. Yeah, Ancient Our English is still going. Really? Well, I should go back and check that out again. The MUDs are a lot of fun. They don't seem that way. We're such a visually based creature and culture, but you know, because this is all text based, but they're very in depth. There's great storytelling in them. There's real decisions, and that's the cool thing about it. But it certainly seems like Pixel wants to move on, and he wants to talk about the new shiny thing. So Pixel, tell us about what you're displaying to us, man.
Oh, I was just watching the trailer for this because I've been seeing all the news and everything about this game, and it looks beautiful. I've heard there's some controversy here, I guess, with the developers and such, but I haven't really looked too far into it. But the visuals on this game, I've been waiting for a cyberpunk kind of feeling game for a long time, and that trailer got me hyped. And so, actually seeing the game in this kind of state looks fantastic.
I used to play the pen and paper game.
Did you play the Cyberpunk 2020?
No.
No, was there a video game before for Cyberpunk?
No, it was a paper and pen game.
Yeah, pen and paper. Yeah, I played that back in the 80s.
Mate, if you like pen and paper games, you should check out Divinity Original Sin 2. That is a pen and paper game in video game form.
Yeah, no, 100%. Divinity is amazing game. It's really well done. Yeah.
Have you played Divinity Original Sin?
I played the first one. I haven't got the second one yet.
Second one is incredible.
Yeah. No, it's got a lot of hype behind it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, any of you guys play the Cyberpunk pen and paper game back in the 80s?
Yeah, I've done that just a bit, a game or two.
Yeah, maybe. I think Shadowrun was more popular. Talking about Cyberpunk type of stuff.
Yeah, because it mixes the D&D elements with cyber noir and stuff.
Actually, where Shadowrun comes from, I don't know if you guys know, this is way off topic, but where Shadowrun comes from is actually kind of interesting. There was a game that was developed, and it's actually a friend of mine was one of the developers of that. I haven't really talked about it much. Yeah, oh, that's okay. I'm sure. Thank you very much, Pixel. That was very get us in trouble. No, the developer of that game, I used to do a lot of RPGA stuff with Palladium way back in the day, and writing and editing and stuff like that. And one of my friends created this game called Earth Dawn, and it was a really fun little game. And the Shadowrun was a development of that. Earth Dawn was set like in the pre-age period, like 10,000 years ago from our perspective. And Shadowrun, of course, was set a little bit in the future. But those two games are actually directly connected. So if you like Shadowrun, you should go to check out Earth Dawn, because that is the inception. It's a fantasy role-playing game. But yeah, I actually had kind of direct connection with that because my friend was actually developed Earth Dawn.
Yeah. And you can actually play a video game of Shadowrun on stream. So if you're interested, you can go on stream and download that one of those Shadowrun games as well.
Yeah, no, there's a tablet version as well on Google Play and stuff. Yeah, cool. All right, well, we have talked about video games, and we've covered so many of them. So let's come into the closing part of our video game discussion here, guys. And does anyone have any other video games or characters or anything they want to talk about? Go ahead and let's throw it out there and have some fun.
I like Pokemon. I admit it. It's my deep guilty pleasure. Okay.
Pokemon, yeah.
And I play it like competitively.
Well, did you know that Pikachu is a Nazi? Well, I mean, we covered that article the other day on the Comics News Today, and man, that is the stupidest thing. These people are so stupid, man. It's just their brain is somewhere else.
Wait, so by Pokemon, are you saying you're into like the handheld or console Pokemon games, or are you talking about Pokemon Go specifically?
Mate, I'm talking handheld stuff. I'm talking. I played Pokemon Blue back in the day, then Yellow, then Gold. Then I had a bit of a gap there. Man, and I'm playing Sun and Moon at the moment, and I have like ridiculously overpowered Pokemon that I used to play like on a competitive level.
Nice.
Yeah.
I could never afford the Game Boys and stuff, but I did get into Pokemon for a while when I got one of those computer simulator versions of the Game Boys. So I played through Silver and Gold, and I think I had Yellow for a while. I had Abracadabra was my number one Pokemon, but I can't stand Pokemon Go, so. No.
What about you guys? What's your favorite soundtrack or theme or song from a video game?
Zelda, probably Zelda.
Yeah, Zelda probably. Yeah.
Final Fantasy games, man.
Yeah, those are pretty epic.
We don't play those weeboo things, Booster.
I'm a massive weeb when it comes to gaming, but I can't stand anime. How does this work?
It's weird. I haven't never played any Final Fantasy games. My kids liked it though.
I would recommend Total War Medieval soundtrack.
Oh yeah, that is
with
good.
The music that sounds like it's during the Crusades and the like. Yeah.
Well, some great modern games with soundtracks is Hotline Miami and Fury. They've got these great synthwave soundtracks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's
I kind of like Bloodborne's OSTs. They're pretty good. Game's ridiculously hard, but the soundtrack's awesome.
I honestly just like 8-bit like Mega Man.
Yeah.
Music. Mega Man and Mega Man X like music. I'll just listen to that if I could. Love it.
And then Fallout with its music from the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's
right over the radio. That is an amazing idea.
It's kind of funny. I can't remember who the artist was, but the artist for The Lone Wanderer was suing Bethesda because he said that he didn't appreciate that his music was traded or partnered up with a violent product like Fallout. And I'm like thinking, but you know what your thing is a guy sleeping around with different women.
Dion. So, but he's also getting more play from the kids, downloading and probably giving him money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, they always do some silly things for sure. But you were going to say something, Beowulf, man.
I had a question for everyone, and I've kind of fallen out of the whole gaming scene for the last probably 5 years or so. And for me, it's because as we transitioned more to online gaming, I missed sitting around with your mates in the same room and playing video games against each other and hearing them yell and scream and swear and seeing the disappointment on their faces as you kill them. So my question is, what do you guys miss, if anything, from older type of games that we don't have anymore?
Sure.
Oh, that's easy for me.
There's a lot of things that the internet ruined with video games, particularly the style of, we'll release this buggy as hell game, just pump it out. We'll fix it on release,
Yeah.
You'll be right.
A year later.
Complex story. Yeah.
DLC where you have to pay to get the full game. More extra money now.
There's a lot of really insulting business practices that video games have.
That's true. We can certainly cover that. There's a lot of nonsense.
Hey, Beowulf, you're talking about getting your mates together and playing. Here's a game that I have bumped into that we've gotten together and played, and it's like no other I've seen today. And that is, if you guys heard of the Artemis Starship Bridge Simulator.
Oh yeah.
I recommend this. I don't recommend the Steam version. The Steam version will allow you to go online and play with people. The best thing to do is go to the Artemis, the Starship, what did I say, Bridge Simulator web page. You know, buy it. It's $40, but you can share it after that, and you share it with up to 6 people, usually, or 8. And what it allows you to do, it allows you to put the game on anyone else's laptop. You come together, you have a computer running, say, like a screen, a big giant flat screen, you know, in your house. This is what I do. And we set up some people with extra tables and chairs, or even the old TV tray table with their own laptop. And then when you go into the game, you click on whether you want to be helmsman, weapons, science officer, and you're basically creating a bridge like you're on Star Trek. Okay. And there's a captain, and the captain doesn't even need to have one of these consoles, but there is a special captain's console with like a map on it. And you start the game, and there's bad guys out there in the galaxy, and you start issuing commands. You know, science officer, you know, where have you scanned out on your map to find people? And he gives you a coordinate. The helmsman has to listen to the coordinates and lay in the course. They've got to, you know, prepare for warp, which allows your engineer to actually transfer energy over to the warp engines to make you more efficient. Engage warp. The helmsman engages warp. If they don't give you enough space, and you arrive at the enemies too close, then your shields aren't up, and you're getting hit, and you're yelling at the guy to bring the shields up and arm your torpedoes and fire your phasers. And it's such a game in which you take 6 or more people, because now they've added the little fighter shuttlecraft, who more like drones, in which everyone is engaged, and you're yelling at you. At some point, if someone does something stupid, you're yelling at them, dude, why did you do that? We need this going. And engineer, can't you hear me? You know, we need more power in the shields or the phasers and the engines now. You know, we need to turn faster. And the engineer's saying, I'm doing what I can because this other guy, he also wants something, you know, from me. And hey, weapons, you know, why'd you fire that nuke when they're so close? Because you got these really big missiles called nukes. Artemis is so fun to play when you get a bunch of guys together in one room and you land them together using your Wi-Fi. I highly recommend it.
That sounds super fun.
Yeah, that sounds cool, but me and my mates would be the worst crew ever.
There would be a bunch of red shirts. You're going, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's actually a board game.
Where are you going, you idiot? Throw the controls at each other.
There's actually a board game that came out last year called Captain Sonar. And it does exactly the same thing you're talking about, and it creates havoc. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you think, Pixel? Beowulf asked an interesting question. What do you think? He's basically, what is the difference between today's games and the games of the past that you like or dislike?
I miss the pause button.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh man.
I mean, obviously, when you're in an MMO or you're in a large world kind of game, you really can't stop everything. But there's times though where even in single player games where some of them just don't have pause available to you until you reach a certain point. You have to hit a save location to be able to play it, or to be able to save your game. And that just bugs me for some reason. Being able to just save the game at whatever point and be able to pause on a regular basis, it's kind of weird. But I don't know. There are trade-offs with every type of system, and like the new games, there's certain things I really love about the new games. Being able to be connected with a friend of mine that's 2,000 miles away, kind of, it's a trade-off for that pause. So I don't mind it that much.
That's true. Yeah, the connectivity of the internet certainly has changed gaming. That's for true.
Yeah.
But for me, the answer to that question is really, really simple: complexity. I mean, the games these days are just too easy. I mean, the games in the past, they were hard. They were really challenging. You had to focus on it. You had to practice it. These games these days are just so easy.
Yeah.
You see those story games they've got where it's basically you just press X and it goes to the next bit of the game?
Yeah, well, just watch a video. I mean, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no arguments with me. But counterpoint would be, it's like, do you really have time to spend practicing on those video games? I mean, you would lose hours upon hours upon hours on it. And
if I found a good one, I'd make time. Yeah.
You make time for it? Okay.
I'd rather play the same, because like I'd rather play the same game that's hard and you have to learn how to play it, and you play it for 2 months or 3 months, rather than play 6 crap games in the same time that are just easy and you run through them and they're boring.
I do miss playing a good hard game, man. What I really miss is games that really respected your bloody intelligence. I feel like games have to spend hours tutorializing everything. They got objective markers, everything. There used to be a time where the controls of a game were just in a little pamphlet that came with the video game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Taught you how to play the game there, and it's like, here's the tools to play the game. Work it out, idiot. Yeah, and that never stopped.
Exactly.
That never stopped people's ability to clock a game back then. I don't know why all of a sudden Assassin's Creed may as well be a tutorial from start to finish with little objective marks. Now go here. Now kill this guy. Just be careful.
No, that's a good point, man. I mentioned that Pantheon MMO that's coming out here next year. They're doing the same thing. They're going back because you talked about it earlier. These games these days, MMOs as well, there's like a little glowing icon over everyone. It just guides you right along the whole way. I mean, why can't I make my own decisions? I mean, and Pantheon is doing that. You're going to have to figure it out on your own. They're not going to help you at all.
Nice.
Yeah.
Going back earlier about like community and your buddies and stuff. I don't have a console, so the only thing I play is actually a game on my phone. And the in-game chat's really terrible, so I communicate on like a outside like chat thing, and it's kind of, I can get a little bit of, and the game doesn't really I don't know, I guess the game doesn't really have a whole lot of like playing the same thing with your friend very often, I guess, but you're working towards the same objectives, and it's kind of neat being able to communicate, I guess, at least via text, which is kind of fun. And I've met a lot of my friends from that community. It's a pretty good, wonderful community. The stuff that I miss in games, oh geez, I guess I just had it on my head and I can't think of it now. Shoot.
That's okay. But DeWolf had to jump off. He's got some stuff to do. But yeah, we're coming up here to the end anyway. We have talked about a lot of cool video games. There's no way we could cover everything in one conversation. It's impossible. But I certainly think we talked about some fun stuff today. And we'll just go through and have everyone give a closing statement here in a moment. But yeah, everybody's in the chat. Thank you guys for coming. We've had a lot of fun, and please do help us and hit that like button. We do have a mysterious person who will go unnamed, who has multiple accounts, who loves to come on channels with people that he thinks are somehow against him and just dislike them. Of course, what he doesn't realize is whether you hit like or dislike, it still actually promotes the channel. So thank you very much, person who we shall not name. Thank you. So let's go ahead, Beowulf. Why don't you give everyone your closing statement, man?
Well, my closing statement is don't overlook the little games like Minesweeper that will help you to pass countless hours, especially when you were back in high school, in IT or IPM classes. But yeah, like video games are a huge part of my childhood, and I love them, and I keep trying every year to get back into them, and maybe I will one day. Hopefully this Champions Online reboot will actually happen and I can jump on there. But thanks for coming, everyone, and hit subscribe if you haven't. Hit the like button. You can follow me on Twitter at Beowulf Reborn if you want to connect there, and on Facebook I'm pretty active in the Fanspeak group, so check us out there as well. Cheers.
Cool. Thank you very much, sir. Booster, go ahead, man. Give me a closing statement.
Oh, closing statement. Dark Souls is for pussies. Try out God Hand.
What? All right.
Oh, brother.
Mic drop.
That's amazing.
Go ahead, Denali. Give us your closing statement, man.
All right. Check out Doug Staples' morning stream. He was interviewing one of the developers of Earthport Jim, Vector Man, and now Bigfoot Bill, Mark Lorenzen, and he talks about what it takes to be a developer and some of the changes that the industry is going through, where more developers are being specialized to different tasks that they don't really see the overall big picture, and that seems like an issue that's been developing and brewing in the industry. So it would be a good view to watch and learn some things from a developer from back in the day. As always, you are in charge of your reality. You can't be accountable of anybody's action but your own. So always make it a good one.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Winter, please give us a final statement.
Okay, so I was more speaking about Demon Souls, not Dark Souls. Dark Souls is a lot easier than Demon Souls. I'm not very good. I only platinumed Demon Souls. I'll try out God Hand as soon as I can. Right now, all I got is my cell phone. I don't have any consoles or anything. So all I'm playing is Marvel Contest of Champions. And I actually had a couple of my buddies from that community come in and do some jump in on this chat. I love video games. I don't know that I can take video games out of my life at any point. It's just always been a part of me, and I think always will.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me here.
Oh, dude, it was a lot of fun. We like having you on, man. It's cool. And we, of course, love the mustache.
Ding.
Oh,
we got.
okay.
Just in case, we got me as an action figure. That was I found this little guy because he had a cool mustache too.
He does look a lot like you, and he also looks a little bit like Ming the Merciless. But hey. Okay, Pixel Man, give me a closing statement.
Oh man, yeah, I'm the same way. Video games were a big part of my life and still continue to be. I don't get to play as much as I'd really like to, but that's just part of life. As you get older, you got more responsibilities and stuff. But I still make time to do that. But yeah, if anybody wants to find me online, it's basically at Pixel Trader, pretty much everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And in the words of one of my favorite MMO players, let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
Yes, an epic moment in World of Warcraft, man. It was shocking how famous that actually became, yeah.
It was a Jeopardy question.
It was, man. And I was actually playing WoW at that time when it happened, and it spread through the community before it even went online. And I remember that. It was funny.
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins.
It's funny. The thing I think a lot of people don't get about that, what was really happening there is, for those of you who have played WoW, and you're in an epic dungeon like that, and you have a big group like that together, it takes a long time to get to where they were. It takes a lot of organization. It's hard. And for him to just go and bust that entire raid like that, oh my goodness. I felt their pain, man.
I'm sorry to say, lads, that was all a setup. That video was fake.
Yeah.
It was fake, but,
It was still fun. It still was a sentiment of what it was. That's why it went all viral.
Yeah, they were poking fun at raid leaders. Yeah, they were poking fun at raid leaders and groups that try to min-max and do all the calculations for survivability and all that kind of stuff. That's why it starts with the guy doing the numbers at the beginning.
Oh, I get it. I didn't know that. I thought it was a real thing, but I still felt it because I understand. I've been in those. They take a long time, some of those raids, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that room is ridiculous. That egg room is exactly that. You had to be really careful. Before you got enough gear, you were screwed if you didn't follow the exact path in there.
Yeah. World of Warcraft. Still going, by the way. I heard they're making a second one, by the way. They're actually going to redo and update the graphics on World of Warcraft.
Interesting.
But anyway, we definitely got to get off of here because over on Mike's channel, Mike Miller's channel, Blacklist Universe, everybody here should go over there because the Drawn and Quartered Pro Edition is taking place. And they are drawing Lobo. Yes, Lobo. It's going to be amazing, man. It's really one of the coolest channels, one of the coolest live streams going on. Just seeing these amazing pro artists come on and do their thing right in front of you. And of course, Ed was in here chatting with us earlier. He's the host of that show. And it's really cool seeing these pro artists. And Mike was talking just the other day of getting Rod Liefeld and some other people to come over and join them as well. It's going to be amazing. It's cool to see it grow. And we can't mention that without mentioning that tomorrow, at the same time, Wednesday, 10 p.m. on this channel, actually this week, we are doing the Drawn and Quartered Fan Edition. And that's really cool. The winner from that went over, John Dillard, went over to the pro version the week after, and he actually won it. So that's really cool. You want to check out the fan edition tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. I will be hosting it on this channel this week. This is Pixel Trader's creation, and it's a very cool idea, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're an artist and would like to get involved in a future fan edition Drawn and Quartered and be an actual contestant in it, please do contact us at Fanspeak on Facebook, or you can even contact Pixel Trader directly. And it is his stream, and it's very cool that Pixel is moving it around from channel to channel. It's a good idea. I like it. But other than that, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Video games are fun. They're certainly part of our life. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And this is a lot of fun. Thank you, guys, and we will see you later.
Laters.
Aloha.
See you.